Most people will never live their dream life. And it's not because they can't, it's because they've never taken the time to sit down and define what that actually is for them. There's a few reasons why most people never really take the time to figure out exactly what they want in life. They're either just following along with what they've been told to want by either family or friends or society. Like, you should want to be a doctor or a lawyer, you should want this type of house and this type of car. Or they just kind of see what other people have and think, yeah, that would be nice. But they don't actually think to themselves, is that something I truly, really want for myself? And lastly, a lot of times people will just rule out the possibility that they can have what they actually want based on their current reality. So they just say, that's not a possibility for me. That's not something that could happen for me. So they don't even let themselves dare to dream about anything else. But today we are going to get rid of all of that. We are going to ignore our current reality. We're going to ignore what everyone else says. We're going to ignore what everyone else has. And we're going to take the time to actually define what we want in our own lives and how we want to live. I'm going to walk you through the 6-part framework that I'm using to define my dream life in my Architecting the Second Half of My Life series. So if you haven't seen episode 1 of my Architecting Your Life series, I'll link that up here. But I'm going to be 39 this year. And even though I have a really good life, I started looking around and thinking to myself, is this how I want to live the rest of my one singular life that we get to live? And the answer was no. I want a big, beautiful, I cannot believe this is my life, and I'm going to start doing everything I can to get it. So in episode 2, this is all about the blueprint to your dream life, because we can't get somewhere if we don't know exactly what it is. And of course, you guys know that I love to create a good workbook, so I have created the Dream Life workbook, and I'm going to link that in the description. It's a Google Doc, so you can make a copy and then you can edit it right there in Google Docs, or you can print it out. I do highly recommend doing a lot of the exercises and journaling questions by hand. There's just something about like writing things down that just like clicks in your brain in a different way. So I do highly encourage you to just print it out and like write things as you go through it, but you can definitely just edit right in the Google Doc if you prefer. So make sure that you go grab your copy of the Dream Life Blueprint and follow along as we go through this video. So part 1 in this framework is first understanding exactly where you are. Essentially, thinking about when you go on a road trip or you're traveling somewhere, you have to start with where you currently are in order to get directions to where you want to go. So this is the first place we need to start. And my favorite exercise for getting a quick snapshot of where you currently are in life and like how you're feeling about everything is the Wheel of Life. There are 13 life areas on the Wheel of Life, and I've also kind of group them into similar categories based on these 6 pillars that I am focusing on for this Architecting My Life series. So there's a couple of categories that fall under finance, a couple that fall under relationships, for example. So how the Wheel of Life works is that you have this wheel and everything is numbered 1 through 10. So on the number scale, you want to first think about how you currently feel about that specific area. In health and fitness, for example, if you currently feel like your health is at a 4, that's what you would color up to in the wheel. Then once you finish all of your categories at your current rating, you would go back and circle the number that you aspire that category to be at. So if you aspire for it to be at an 8, you would circle the 8. Now, once you go through and you do this for every single category and life area on the wheel, you will see the gap between where you currently are and where you want to be. And I just want to caution you that not every area has to be a 10 out of 10 for you to feel like that is good and sufficient and like enough for your life. I think naturally there are going to be some areas that are going to be more important to you than others. If, for example, your family, your relationships, you want those to be a 10, but your finances can be an 8, that's totally fine. Again, not everything has to be a 10 out of 10. Make sure that you're being very honest with yourself as you go through and give your rating for each of these areas, both your current and your desired. Now, once you have your full wheel complete, again, you'll be able to see the gap between where you currently are and where you want to be. And you can very clearly see which areas of your life have the largest gap. And those are often good indicators of where you should start with your focused efforts. Because like I've said in many other videos, you don't want to try to change everything all at one time. You don't want to try to like overhaul your entire life, because that's very overwhelming, very difficult. And a lot of times people just abandon everything because it's so overwhelming and frustrating. So taking it piece by piece is going to make this so much simpler. The next thing that you want to do is, once you find the gaps between where you are and where you want to be, is to think about what is it about this life area that's not working for you. If, for example, you rate your career a 3 and you want it to be at least a 6 for you to feel good, what's currently missing or what is currently going on in that area that's making you feel like it's below what you want? Is it, the work that you're actually doing? Is it your actual job? You feel like you have no purpose or it's not meaningful? Or is it that you are spending 80 hours a week working and you feel so overrun by your job that you have no energy and time for your family? Understanding exactly the issues that you have in each of those areas is also going to be a key indicator and something that you can take into the next phase when we are starting to plan for our dream life. Now, a few things that I want you to keep in mind as you're going through this, where I'm currently at, is that just because you are giving something a low score does not mean that you are completely ungrateful for it. And I don't want you to feel guilty or ashamed for rating things low. You can both feel like it's not enough and it's not what you want, and feel grateful that you currently have it in your life. Remember that this is all an exercise for you. You don't have to share this with anybody if you don't want to, but it's really important that you be fully honest and transparent with yourself, because if you lie or fudge or make some excuses, you're only hurting yourself. So keep that in mind. And then a few other things that are important to note when you are thinking about where you currently are, what are your values? What are the things that no matter what is going on in your life, no matter where you are, how much money you make, what you do, where you live, these are the values and the non-negotiables that will always be important to you. For example, honesty, loyalty, trustworthiness. These are things that you would never want to compromise on, regardless of what was being offered or where it would take you. So making sure that you get very, very clear on what your values are and what your non-negotiables are. Part 2 is the bulk of the work here. So now that you know where you are, we need to figure out where we're going. So this is the second pillar in the Dream Life workbook and the longest part, because you have to spend a lot of time thinking about what you want in your life. So we are working through 6 pillars: money, wellness, relationships, mindset, legacy, and lifestyle. I'm kicking off this section of the workbook with a dream day exercise. I've done this before in the past and I have found it so helpful. In this exercise, you are going to write a dream day in the life, just an average day, like a Wednesday, say, where you are going to write from the moment you open your eyes to when you go to sleep. And I even like to write what deep, restful, restorative sleep that I get. So just going through as much detail, second by second, what you're doing, how you're feeling, and the thoughts that you're having. Everything that you can think of, I want you to write it down in as much detail as possible in this dream day in the life exercise. And you want to write it in present tense. All right, so through the workbook, you're going to go through these exercises and journaling questions for every single one of the pillars that we talked about. You're going to go into as much depth as you can think of. And I don't want you to feel like this is an exercise, this is a thing that you have to do right in one day. You don't have to rush through it. I want you to take your time, really think about the responses that you're giving. Really think about this. You can, go through this in a few days, in a few weeks, whatever time frame feels good for you. The most important thing here is that you are really, really, really diving deep and getting to the root of what you desire your life to look and feel like. So there's a couple of journaling questions under each pillar that will really just help you to think about those things in depth and really understand what it is that you truly want. So take your time to work through those. And I challenge you to just be as unrealistic as possible. Don't be constrained by what you think is possible based on your current circumstances. Don't be constrained by what your family says that you should or could do. Don't be constrained by what your friends do, their limiting beliefs. Ignore all of that and just write. If money, time, resources, literally nothing was standing in your way of getting exactly what you want, that is how you want to plan this. Part 3 is one that I think a lot of people skip over, but I feel like it is one of the most important parts of this, and that is what your dream life costs you. And I think that this piece is so cool and also so important, because it's not enough to just say, I want to live a luxurious life, or I want to make $1 million. Like, you don't want to be vague about it. You want to know exactly what things are going to cost you, because then it's much easier for you to make that game plan. And a couple of things will happen. Either you're going to realize, whoa, my dream life costs way more than I expected. Like, I need to figure out how I'm going to get there. You might realize, wow, my dream life actually costs way less than I expected. I'm so much closer to achieving that than I thought was possible. And that's a really exciting place to be in. So understanding how much everything is going to cost you. So after going through part 2, you will actually create a list of all the things that you want in your life: the house, the car, the housekeeper, the laundry service, the babysitters or nannies or whatever, the meal planning or prepping, the gym you want to go to, the vacations that you want to take, the car you want to have, literally all of it. And you're going to create a pricing list. And this part is important. You want to make sure that you are looking up real numbers based on where you live. So obviously, like, I'm in Florida, so getting a meal prep service and a house cleaner is going to be a very different cost than in like rural Utah or something like that. So you want to make sure that you're looking up pricing in your area. And once you have that full list, you'll then be able to do all the calculations, which I have listed out in the workbook, as far as what you need to make yearly and then monthly in order to account for all of those things that you want in your dream life. For example, I want to have a monthly beauty budget where I can account for like a massage, a facial, getting my hair done, buying new makeup, updating my wardrobe. Like, I want to have funds set aside for that every single month. So I need to make sure I understand what those things cost so that I can build that into my dream life budget and understand where do I need to be financially with my income in order to make those things happen. Again, you might think something is going to cost you an outrageous amount of money, so you don't even feel like it's possible, but when you price it out, you're like, oh, I could actually make that happen. Moving into part 4, this is who you need to become. Obviously, when we want to live a different version of our life, that means that we have to be a different version of ourselves. Otherwise, we would have it already. I know for me, there are a lot of things that I need to become a higher level of myself financially, business wise. Like, there's a lot of things that I need to work on in order to be at the level that I want to be at. So understanding the type of person that you need to be in order to have that life, to hold that life, and to sustain that life is very important. We have to think about things like, what are the types of decisions that that version of myself would make? What are the behaviors, the habits, the actions that that person takes on a consistent basis? If I want to have an incredible body, then that version of myself that has the incredible body is working out consistently, eating well, drinking their water, and, recovering well and properly, taking supplements if I need to. I'm not eating ice cream every single night and like sitting on the couch 24/7. And then the key here is to start thinking about what are the small ways that you can start to bring that into your life right now, because you don't have to wait until you are at this level to live like that person. You can do small things now to start to feel like that person as you're growing and evolving into them. For example, one of the things I know I want in my dream life is to have slow, peaceful mornings. And that's something that I have brought into my life now, where the first at least 30 minutes, usually about an hour, I am waking up, I have my coffee. That's the very first thing I do, and I will never change that. So I have my coffee, I like to do my devotional, my journaling, and my reading, and I just do that very slowly, sitting on the couch with my dog Zeus, and it's just very peaceful, and it's time for me to pour into myself and to just set myself up and put my mind in a good space for the rest of the day, instead of rolling out of bed, like rushing around like a maniac, or feeling like I need to jump right on my computer and start working immediately. Part 5 is probably the hardest section of this Dream Life Blueprint, and it's because it requires you to look at what's currently holding you back from achieving that dream life and achieving the version of yourself that you want to be. And it's hard. It's hard to look at the things that we feel are ugly or bad or that we don't like about ourselves. But in order to overcome things and to change and to grow, we do need to face those pieces of ourselves. So what are the limiting beliefs that are holding you back? What are the stories that you tell yourself that are not true or no longer true. Protective patterns, even. So things that you have had to learn to do in order to survive or to overcome certain situations. You might have had to do things in your past that you felt like you had to do in order to, at the extreme end, stay alive, or to just protect your emotions, to protect you from being hurt or from being seen, or whatever the case may be. And then part 6 is to actually figure out your first next move, because you can think and you can plan and you can dream all day long, but unless you actually take action, nothing is going to change and nothing is going to happen. And I'm saying this to you with so much love, because I am somebody who can get very caught up in the overly planning and research and all of that. And it feels very productive to plan and think about and organize things, but action is what makes things happen. So in this final part of the workbook, the last exercise is to write a letter from your future self to your present self. And I've done this a couple of different times in different aspects. I even remember we did this as an exercise when I first joined a sorority, which is so random. But I've done it in a number of other ways and avenues, and most recently in one of the mentorship programs that I'm in. And it's always such a powerful and emotional exercise. So I hope that you will do this one if you don't do anything else. So this letter, you want to think about the future version of you who has everything that you've outlined in your dream life. You have all of the things that you've wanted. You have achieved all of the things you've hoped to achieve. You are exactly where you want to be, doing exactly what you want. You feel incredible about yourself and who you've become. And basically, it's you on top of the world with all of it. Everything that you outlined in your dream life is in your hands. And you write to your current self about that, about how amazing it feels to have accomplished everything, how amazing you feel being that best version of yourself. You also write about what it took to get there, how hard you worked, all of the things that you did. And then also writing back some motivation and some encouragement, words of encouragement for going through the hard times, because anything that we want to achieve in life is going to come with obstacles. Life itself, you could literally do nothing in life and you're still going to have obstacles. So you might as well do something worthwhile, right? But giving yourself those words of encouragement to keep going, because when you know the outcome, when you know the success is right there, you're willing to keep going through the crap and through all the whatever that you have to get through. So you have to treat this like that. You have to believe, and this is something that I got from Jen Gottlieb. She said that you only have to believe in yourself a little bit more than you don't. 51%. So if you believe 51%, that's a little bit more than you don't, that you will achieve everything that you've put in this dream life blueprint, then that is enough to keep you going. So I want you to believe with your whole heart, with your whole being, with your whole soul and everything, that you will achieve everything that you've laid out in this blueprint. And I want you to write as that version of you back to you now, encouraging you to go for it, to keep going through the hard times, to be persistent and resilient, and to stay the course. So that is the full framework of the Dream Life Blueprint. We are architecting the next phase of our lives. Wherever you are in life, however old you are, I believe that it is never too late to make a change. And also, this is a living, breathing document. You are free to change your mind about what you want and how you want to live your life at any moment. But the important piece is to define what you want and how you want to live. So that is the full framework. I hope that you are going to download the workbook and go through these exercises. And I just know that if you put in a little bit of effort towards achieving your dream life, that you can make it happen. I hope you enjoyed today's video. In my next episode of the Architecting Your Life series, I'm going to be diving deeper into the financial aspect and how I'm making that happen. But if you enjoyed today's video, let me know below if you grabbed the workbook and what some of the things are in your dream life. If you know anyone that would find this video helpful, please share it with them. I would appreciate that so much. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.